Absolutely amazing guest here today. It is Matt Hoy, singer extraordinaire, vocalist extraordinaire, former vocalist with Ali Campbell's UB40, the Breakaway group. But we talked to him last year and he did an absolutely fantastic chat with us about council tax, which we are going to talk about again today. How are you coping with, bailiffs turning up at your door? Because people may not know this, that you have an ongoing fight, against council tax, which we're going to talk about. Where are you at with that, and how are you coping with it all?
It's not just council tax anymore, unfortunately. It's
No,
the
I know.
energy companies, water company as well.
Yeah,
Still doing the council tax. I'm in an ongoing battle with EDF at the moment
yeah,
because, as everybody knows, well, I'm not. Well, probably everybody doesn't know. This is the reason I'm fighting it. All utility contracts, so forth, are all fraudulent because they're credit contracts. So any form of connection to a company of that size, a corporation, you have to have a contract, and within a contract, you have to sign that contract yourself with a wet signature, and that is what is binding. Unfortunately, these companies don't have that. So unless you have a contract, then you have no consent. This is the point I'm trying to make to EDF, and I've been asking for the last 4 years for them to provide me with my signed contract.
yes,
Obviously, they can't do that, so they put the whole contract or account, whatever they want to call it, into deadlock, and then they just send the bailiffs, the threatening people. Then the problem, not the problem, these people are they're bullies basically, and they harass you constantly. Our energy supplier, it was in my other half's name, so it was just a woman's name.
yeah,
So they constantly send threatening letters every week, emails, letters, bailiffs turning up at the door when we're not there, but we've got the CCTV all over the house. We've got the ring. The house is covered, security wise. So we're all there. But if I wasn't here and it was just a young woman on her own, it would be so scary. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And that's what they feed on. They feed on the vulnerable and the women with kids and stuff like and disabled people or people with mental health issues. Those are the people they target. And just recently, I've started to come on board and say, no, actually, I have no contract with yourselves. I'm the homeowner, so you go through me.
yes,
Unfortunately, it was brilliant because I only started doing this about 2 months ago, and it overlapped with the bailiff letters and the enforcement. I'll correct myself; they're not bailiffs; they're enforcement officers. So they turned up mob-handed last week, which was fantastic because we had two enforcement officers, we had three locksmiths, and then we had three guys there to change the meters because they want to take our meters out because they can't access them and put smart meters in, which
yes,
we all know are detrimental to people's health.
yes,
Um, so I just hung out the window and said, "Yeah, can I help you?" And he went, "Well, we're here to come. We need to change them." I said, "Well, you're not changing anything because they're not your property." I said, "So firstly." And I'm glad you've got me on this, Liam, because I put it on the page that we're on Facebook. And so many people have asked me how I got rid of them because they're getting the same issue.
yes,
Firstly, it's to do with the basics of it, which normally works.
mhm,
Firstly, I asked them for a contract. It was Fulmar Services, is the enforcement agency. I asked them for a contract between either myself or the property and Fulmar Services. They couldn't provide that because there isn't one. So
yes,
that's broken the law. Secondly, I asked them if there was a contract, which we've been searching for the last 4 years, between this property and EDF. There wasn't one. So that's 2 times they've broken the law.
mhm,
Thirdly, I asked them, is there an agreement between yourself, Fulmar, and this property or the person that you're searching for GDPR, which is the Data Protection Act? Have you got that agreement signed? No. Right, you've broken the law 3 times now. So you've only been here 5 minutes and you've already broken the law 3 times. Have you an agreement between EDF and this property or the person you're looking for? No, you've broken the law 4 times now. We're only 15 minutes in. So then we go to the warrant. So I take it you're here to do the meters. Either you're going to do it now or you're going to come back at another time. I assume you've got a warrant. He went, yes, we have. And he was so happy with himself. I said, well, let me stop you before you go on, before you get it out. I said, I'm going to tell you, an electronic device you've got that warrant on, isn't it? And he went, yes, it is. Yeah. I said, well, that's fraudulent. I said, you've broken the law 5 times. I said, because any warrant that is issued to a property for that reason needs to be signed by a judge with a court seal, with a wet signature on paper. Otherwise, it's fraudulent. And the thing is, I said, there isn't a judge within the land that would put their name to a warrant for somebody just to come in and take a meter. It wouldn't be worth their job. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they all just buggered off, and they're all 8 of them in the end with their tails between their legs, because there is absolutely nothing they can do, because they're quoting legal terminology, but I'm giving them the law back, which supersedes anything that they can come up with. And that's, if anybody's listening that went on my Facebook, that is how it's done. But you just got to keep your cool. Don't go out there, start guns blazing, and go and get the fuck off my land and all blah blah blah. And that was the other one as well. Before I put in, I've got an access right, which is in my front window. And if anybody from an enforcement company reads this right, no access right, basically they're agreeing to it by reading it. So I said, have you noticed the notes in the window? And he said, yes, I was just reading that. I said, well, I'm glad you've admitted on all the cameras that you've read it, because you are now trespassing on private property. So you've actually broken the law 6 times. And that was it. That's how we got rid of them in the end. But yeah, so this is what we do with those guys, and the council tax and the water, and it's all that kind of stuff.
Takes a lot of mental willpower. What is it about you that thinks, well, yeah, I can take these people on? Because for your ordinary punter, they are going to be, like you say, scared.
Yeah.
How do you get over that?
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, right? I've been waiting for them to turn up for a while now, and we've had the odd one, and I've got rid of them, but they've been on their own, or just 2 of them. When they turned up mob-handed the other day, the 8 of them, yes. My address going. Do you know what I mean? But you just got to be confident, and I've studied this, so I know the law, and I know I'm right. And I know that they know they're being fraudulent. And I always liken it to the Matrix, when it's like you got Neo and then you've got Mr. Smith or whatever it is in the suits and everything. Yeah. They're the bailiffs. They're the ones coming to steal your money, beg for your money, which they don't deserve. And I've always hated bullies. Hate bullies.
Oh, so
and that's what bullies, so they can all do one. And I will never give in. I will never give in to a bully, ever. So...
Right. Well, what do you feel that, I mean, if I was going from the other point of view, in the comments, sometimes people will say, well, why don't you just pay it? You owe the money for the council and the water and this, that, and the other. Other people have got to pay it. Why don't you pay it?
Well, because you don't have to, because it's within the human rights laws. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't, when you're born on this planet, you shouldn't have to fight for the right to be warm. You shouldn't have to fight for the right to eat our food, a supply of food. And you shouldn't have to fight for the right to have water so you can drink. All these things. I don't mind going back in the day. I mean, Russia do this. They have 1 payment per year, and that covers all your utilities, your gas, electric, blah, blah, blah. And that, I don't mind doing that. But when you have companies after, Thatcher and the privatisation and all that kind of system, and then the Blair system where he kind of took hold of it and sold it to Europe as well when we went into the EU. I mean, you look at the figures of what we're paying in the UK, just energy-wise, compared to the rest of Europe. It's ridiculous. And that was initially... It was nothing to do with the credit contract. That was what I found out later. That was even, that was like me finding an Easter egg, the brownie point. I just said to them, how can you justify what you're expecting me to pay for what I've had? Because it went from quarterly, I was paying a certain amount, and it accelerated like to 100, nearly 200%. And I said, how can you justify that? Where's that? Where are those figures? And they wouldn't answer. So that's when he said, well, until you do, we're not paying it. And with water, I have a friend who did a lot of tests on the water through 7.
God, yeah.
And we all know there's fluoride in the water. Yeah. Fluoride, it causes dementia. There's so many things that are detrimental to human health within the actual water you get out of a tap. I'm not paying for that. If you're in a restaurant and somebody said, oh, there's some water, by the way, there's fluoride in that, I've just dropped it, and there's some of that in there, you wouldn't drink it or pay for it. So why should I do it when it's just because it's coming out my tap? You know, if you want to pay
So,
for it, that's fine, but I'm not prepared to do that.
but other people, I guess, watching it will want to know how long has it taken you to gain the knowledge so that you can combat this when people turn up.
Um, Not that long, and there's a lot of sites you can research. As I mean, I'll send you the link so you can put them on
Yes,
your
put them underneath. Yeah,
so people can find them. But there's lots of places where you can get templates from. You can get relevant information regarding different utilities and council tax and um, liability orders for council tax, because that's the biggest joke out of it. That's all what they always threaten you with is a liability order. A liability order hasn't existed within the council, specifically Birmingham Council, which is
yeah,
the biggest council in Europe. It hasn't existed since 2003, and that's from the council's own handbook. It hasn't existed and hasn't been replaced with anything else. So when they print it all over their letters, we're sending you a liability order. You've got to play blah blah blah. It's fraud. It's fraud. You've got a summons to a magistrate's court. That's fraud. A summons is just an invite. You're not, when people go, oh, I've been summoned to court. It's just an invite. It's nothing. You know,
yeah,
it's just terminology that you've got to stop the fear. It's all built on fear. And once you
yeah.
lose that fear and you realize they're a bunch of fraudulent bastards, that's what said. That's how you know what gets me up in the morning. And then I got my
How
reggae
many
music to fill me out there.
how many years is it now that you haven't paid council tax?
I haven't paid council tax for about 5 years now.
Great,
I,
good for you.
I had paid the utilities for about 3 or 4. I haven't paid water for 4. Um, I haven't paid TV license. I mean, that's the biggest joke of all of them. But I haven't paid TV license, God, for about 15, 20 years. Yeah,
Yeah. And I'd advise people out there, if you want to start slowly, just start with the TV license. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
that's a kind of a simple one that you can do. It's very easy. People get all scared about it and all that, but I haven't had a license for years now, and I've not really had any hassle over it, to be perfectly honest. So look, these are short interviews, so we only have 5 minutes. So I want to talk about you as well, your music. Where can people see you? What's happening with you musically? Are you gigging? Because I want people out there to support this man, because Matt is a very brave man, and he stands up. He stands up for his rights and for other people, and he advises other people. So the least that we can do is download a single or something else like that. So tell us, Matt, what's going on with all of that.
Oh, mate, at the moment, I am the happiest I have ever been musically. I am in such a
Brilliant.
wonderful band with 3 other wonderful men. I'm in a band called House of Fire, and that's
Yes.
FYH. Um, Basically, there's myself, there's Tony Mullins, who is keyboard player with the other UB40. So we've
Yes.
come together. We've got Steve Clark, who was drummer for Musical Youth, and we have Dennis Jarrett, who was with Sugar Minot, Black Slate, loads of. So we're kind of the elder statesmen within reggae. We're producing and writing some wonderful stuff at the moment. But more than anything, it's music is a pleasure again. I'm enjoying music and being creative. So much so we're actually playing Manchester Academy on July the 11th with Music Youth, and I can't wait. Do you know what I mean? So if anybody wants to come and see us, July the 11th, Manchester Academy, it'd be so wonderful to see you.
And where do they look for you online?
Houseoffire.com. We've got
Yeah.
it's like basically a one-stop shop. So once you click on it or put that in your www.houseoffire.com, it's got the links to all the YouTube, the Facebook, the Twitter, the TikToks, all that kind of stuff. Um, but we're just enjoying life at the minute with the banter that we have. It's like the reason we started doing music,
Yes.
and we're all very like-minded as well.
Oh, yeah, that's
Uh,
great. So you haven't got any friction in the band, because people have different viewpoints and stuff.
No, I mean the only reason that prevents us doing any work is that because we're just having too much fun messing around and just having laughed when we should be working. But it's a pleasure to be back doing it, and it's also um, it's about community as well, because that's what we want to do with it. We want to bring back the true roots and culture of reggae music and what it
Yeah.
represents back in the day. And what I've always tried to do with my music and as a person is just be a good person, and help and try and do the right thing. And I don't want to be a martyr. I'm just not, I'm great. But that's just how I try to live day by day. So I'm not into evil, people stabbing each other in the back and all that kind of talking. I'm too old for that now. Do you know what I mean? I just want peace, love, and unity, man. You know what I mean? One love. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. What are people like? We've got a couple of minutes left. What are people, family like around you? Because obviously it isn't just you that has to go through these banging on the door and this sort of conflict. How do you feel about having family around you now? Have they been brought into it? Do they support you what you're doing?
Um. Yeah. Fortunately, my other half is exactly on the
Brilliant.
um same page as me. She just backs me with every single thing that I do, and I'm so fortunate. We've been together for over 25 years,
Mhm.
and everything I do, she supports me with the music, the politics, the truth, the stuff, the activism, everything. She's right there beside me. And some of the stuff she actually knows more than me about it, because but
Yeah.
just that I've got the platform, I've got the ugly face.
Yeah.
I'm the one who put it out there. But a lot of the family I don't speak to anymore overseas in this country. I haven't done for a long while. And it's just a strange one. And you think you know somebody over time,
Mm.
especially family members, but when the truth does come out and they're kind of forced into admitting which side of the fence they're on,
Yeah.
you a lot about people, and
Indeed.
especially the characteristics of the left, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
it's really mad. They're very vicious sometimes.
They are rather extreme, aren't they? I mean, did you know, I always think that there's no laughs with them, is there? I think like to the right, you always think that you could have a bit of a laugh and a joke and a bit of
Yeah,
banter and stuff like that. If you left, I mean, you're offended by everything.
it's just hard work. I just don't know, it's too much. I couldn't be bothered with it all. But yeah, I know you just made me realise how many friends and family were that way inclined, and I just thought I was losing friends and family left, right, and centre. It was nothing to do with me. They were just getting rid of me. It was weird. So
I know.
yeah.
But now, finally, have you got sort of any words of advice for someone who's watching this for the first time and thinks, actually, I'm as pissed off as everybody else, so I am going to stand up. What would you advise them to do?
I think the best advice I can give is for the last 6 years since we've gone through the point of the vaccines and all that kind of stuff and standing up to that, and the truth is finally coming out about that now.
Yeah, yeah,
I think protest is over. It worked at the beginning. It was there for a reason. I think the only thing you can do now is to do what we're doing, is to hit these people where it hurts, and it's always financially. So
yes.
you can all go out and go, oh, we don't agree with this, we don't agree with that, and then you can all go home, and then nothing
Mm,
really happens. But if you stop paying your council tax,
yes.
then John stopped paying his council tax, and then Maureen stops paying the council. These are hundreds and hundreds of pounds that they're not getting. So if you can imagine how many households are on just Birmingham alone, and
Mm,
30% of those stop paying council tax, that's going to hit them right where it hurts. And
yeah.
that's the best protest you could ever give,
Mm,
um, as a standpoint as well. And stop sitting there or standing there and being exploited by these people who don't give a shit about you. They'll just rob you left, right, and centre.
yeah.
And once you paid your debt, which is not your debt in effect anyway, it comes out of your own trust.
Mm,
They will come back for more. They're never happy. They're always greedy. They'll always come back for more.
mm,
Um, just stand up to these people. And if you go on Facebook, there's fighting 5G and the council tax. There's some council tax sites on there, and I'm involved with a couple of them. But there's some wonderful sites on there. If you want to do it, but you're concerned and you're worried, which I get. It's a
yes.
daunting to do, but it will appease your mind and it will make you feel, because knowledge is power. And once you
Yeah.
understand, because it will, what it does, it just clicks all of a sudden. You go, I
Mm,
get it. I get it. Um, these are there's a book as well. I'm just gonna
mm.
that's the book. I don't know if you can see that.
And yeah, got it. Yeah,
I
yeah. Know your lawful rights.
I advise everybody to go out and read that, because it tells you your rights basically and how they are bending you over and bending the system in their favor. Um, so yeah, just lose the fear. get out there, just research. Knowledge is power, as I said. And when you do understand where they're coming from with all this, and you go, no, that's not right. You can't do that. And you feel more confident in yourself. You know what I mean? And that's what gave me. I was shitting it the other day. Give me the confidence to stand there and go, no, 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 because I
Good
was
for
knowledgeable. You know.
Yeah, good for you standing there with all them 8 people outside. Absolutely fantastic. So brilliant, folks. What a fantastic guest. He's a lovely man, Matt Hoy.
Oh,
Support his music, House of Fire. Check it all out on, all the social media and stand up. Just start with something small. Let's say go to TV license, move on to council tax or something like that afterwards. But good on you, Matt. Hope to
let's
see you
get
soon.
back. Let's get community back. You know what I mean? Love.
Absolutely.
That's what we
Yeah,
want. Stand up to these fraudulent bastards. Listen to some reggae music and bring community back. That's all I'm saying.
fantastic.